And we are live again with another event, Sell Like an American, event that we created in order to help our great audience to expand their business and learn how to sell to American companies. A lot of people to thank before we actually start this presentation and event or a demo. I want to start with thanking Nevs Sofronic, the founder of Recrooit, for joining us for another exercise. Great to see you, Nev, and thank you for.
Great to see you too.
Absolutely. And we also want to, number one, we want to thank the audience. Everybody's so busy. We are very happy that people find this exercise helpful and they're carving up some time. I understand I'm actually in Miami, Florida. I understand it's 5 o'clock. People are rushing home, but you know, we really appreciate your time. But then also we want to thank our sponsors, USAID, Digital Serbia Initiative. And we could not do this without the great team from Startit, Isidora, Nevenka, Jelena. Yes, big heart for the Startit team. But again, we'll take a little step back and explain what we are doing. This is event number 2. Again, we want to show companies in Serbia, they're so eager, so talented, innovative to expand into the biggest market, the most competitive, the most lucrative market in the world, which is the United States. And this event number 2, we are calling it Creating and Presenting Effective and Revenue-Driven Demo, right? Demo, it has its purpose. Yes, we are telling people what we are doing. In this case, Recrooit will tell people what they're doing. But at the end of the day, we are trying to, hopefully we are succeeding in driving revenue. Having said that, we actually have the 4 events. If you're joining us for the first time, you know, welcome. What are we doing here? We're actually doing 1 event a quarter where we are talking about how to sell in America. We started with Sales Essentials that we did a few months back. Today, we are doing what's called the demo prep, right? We're going to do a little role play with Nev and Recrooit. But then the next one, we don't have the date yet. This is going to be very interesting. We are going to bring an actual live American buyer, American person, American company, where Nev is going to be able to show her magic and potentially maybe get a client in US. I strongly believe that Recrooit has some amazing value proposition, very unique offering that we can actually attract an American buyer to be interested and maybe even sign up for the services. And then number 4, which is going to be probably in December before holidays, just like with every demo or with every client, you have to do a follow-up. So the idea is to give you bring you to the live, real life scenarios. Instead of us just talking and showing you some slides, we actually want to show you something that you can take to your organization. I don't care if you're a multi-million-dollar organization in Serbia. I don't care if you're a conglomerate. I don't care if you're a startup. Any of these things that we are doing, it can be implemented, whether you're selling to the Fortune 500 client or if you're selling it to a smaller business. Again, this is a B2B exercise, but even if you're doing B2C, you know, some of these things you can implement in your daily practice. So just like with every event, we do a quick agenda rundown. A lot of bullets here. We can sum it up in maybe three things. We'll do a little intro and bios. I really want, especially people who are joining us for the first time, to get to know Recrooit and Nevena. And we want to, you know, really get into the dynamic what we are doing here. Since we already had 1 event, we looked at the Recrooit value proposition, the marketing material, which was really impressive to start with. But we made some improvements, and we're going to talk about some of those improvements. And Nevena is going to tell you about those improvements. And then the biggest part of this event today is going to be actually live role play that Nevena is going to position her service to me, Alex, as a CEO of a Precog security, a cybersecurity company. Because of that, you know, we're just going to do a quick bio. A lot of people probably saw me on some of the events on this today. So I'm not going to spend too much time on my bio. Maybe people are tired of this slide deck. But again, I was born in Novi Sad, currently live in the States, in Miami, Florida. lived in the States for 30 plus years, worked for large organizations like McAfee and Intel. Cybersecurity is my core business. But I'm also part of the Serbian Entrepreneur Group. I'm a chapter, Florida chapter, Miami chapter manager. And because of that, I'm always trying to see how can I give back to the Serbian community, especially tech community. So thanks to Startit and thanks to Nevena, I'm able to maybe, point out some of the things that I learned over the course of my, 20 plus year career here in the United States, which was mostly around sales, operations, and marketing. As a matter of fact, I did start a company too that's a system integrator that's helping Serbian and Central European companies integrate into US systems. We are helping them expand their footprint in US. Enough about me. I do want to spend some time to give really Nev the microphone, and she can tell you a little bit about her bio and also a little bit about Recrooit. But I would also like to hear from Nevena how does she feel about this exercise, and why does she feel it's helpful, hopefully?
Yeah, thank you, Alex. And I really mean it. Thank you for sharing all your knowledge and with this audience. And thanks to the audience for joining us on this amazing journey of learning together. I'm Nev. I've been in the recruitment industry for 10 years now. This is not my first company. I've built a recruitment agency called Omnis Group previously. And somewhere along the way, I've learned that founders are really struggling with hiring talent. So I've decided to build them a completely new talent acquisition channel called Recrooit. Recrooit is a referral-based recruitment platform where you can actually earn money by referring others for jobs. And why I found this exercise helpful is that it has helped me actually put together my knowledge. Some of these things may seem obvious to a lot of people listening, but when you're hands-on doing stuff, you actually tend to forget them. And it feels like having a mentor guide you through the process of building sales materials. Really, really helpful. So I would say this is the most important part to me. At the same time, I believe that us two together could bring together both my experience and like with this event and your knowledge together and help some people from the audience do the same thing. Yeah.
I think that's a great segue. Maybe just a quick housekeeping. We do have the audience. They were very active last time. And absolutely, I see this as a collaborative effort. There is no way that I'm going to pretend that I know everything, right? I can help in certain areas. I'm actually learning a lot from Recrooit. But we had our audience pitch in last time. So we are inviting audience to please send your questions, remarks, feedback. It was very valuable last time. And as a matter of fact, because of our audience, we made some changes too. So having said that, thanks, Nev, a great bio, and really appreciate some kind words that you had for us there. But again, you mentioned something that's critical. And, I actually got two things here. A lot of people think this is kind of obvious. Oh, of course, I have that. And they're very nonchalant when it comes to like sales. And I noticed that a lot in Serbia. And I actually noticed it with some of the companies in US, believe it or not. The thing is what you just said, you have to go through this exercise, right? You have to go first of your inventory. Here is your inventory of some of the very basic tools that you should have. If you're a startup, whether you're selling, maybe in Serbia or like in EU or especially in US, you should really have at least 4 of these things. You should have some kind of elevator pitch. Like, what is your value proposition? If somebody puts you on the spot for 30 seconds, can you explain what you do and why are you different and why I should buy your service or your SaaS product or any kind of product? You should also have, and typically this is what happens. Maybe you're at the event, maybe you're in the elevator, you just had 30 seconds and somebody says, okay, that's very interesting. Why don't we set up some time so you can tell them a little bit more about your company? That segues and transitions into some kind of overview. You should have a demo slide deck that has a high level, we call it a 20,000 feet overview where you can explain who you are, what do you stand for, about your team, about your stack, what kind of problem you solve, maybe some testimonials. And I think you already had that when we start talking, and we're going to show how you even improved on that deck. And then, during these demonstrations, your client says, okay, this looks great. Can we see the live demo of your SaaS, of your product? You should be able to show that as well. And then you should treat this seriously, have some kind of dedicated sales and a business development role. And if you're a startup like Recrooit, we always say the CEO and the founder is actually the chief sales officer. So if you don't have anybody next to you, you're that person. So you got to work on that. So these are your 4 basic things that you should have before you even go to market, before you sell, especially in the US market. Now, this whole exercise was a little bit before and after, and we picked like maybe 4 areas where we improved. And Nev, you can tell us a little bit how was your experience. But again, with the general value, we started with the general value prop, how we can regionalize, right? From the elevator pitch, value proposition, demo, slide deck. So the whole idea is, can we Americanize this? Let's maybe use that term. Can we Americanize this a little bit more? Again, in sales, it's all about knowing your audience. When you're selling to somebody in Belgrade or somebody in Central Europe, or EU or Sweden, it's going to be always regionalized, always understand your audience. Maybe they want to hear something else. In US, we're going to show what a US buyer, US buying persona wants to hear. But I just want to hear your thoughts. Did you feel that we regionalized and Americanized some of the value prop as we were going along?
Definitely. I really, what maybe I didn't have on my mind when we started this was how important the slang we're using is. Maybe like probably a lot of people I know from Serbia are really efficient talking in English, but then again, we don't have that hands-on experience in talking in real life with the professionals from the US who are using certain terms. So just bringing my attention to that helped a lot in building different copy for Recrooit, both on sales and other pages on our website. So that was one of the takeaways from this part of the journey. Yeah. Excellent.
The next one would be metrics, right? I said Americans are crazy about metrics, and I love if anybody goes to Recrooit's a homepage, especially for the companies, because there are 2 value propositions for community, but for the companies too. And I think you had enough data, but typically what I see from companies, startups, and sometimes in Serbia, not enough data, quantifying. What are your metrics, right? And this is what you guys can see on the right side. This is Recrooit's metrified, a lot of data, Americanized a value proposition where you're showing right away you can reach 80% candidates. There are actually 5,000 professionals. They're not on any kind of job bulletin, right? And I love your call to action. Call to action has to be quantified. Start hiring in 60 minutes. This is a very Americanized, metrified, datafied call to action. So I just want to give you kudos for that. And I don't know if you want to comment.
Yeah, well, on the CTA, I do have, it takes talking to your customers pretty much and figuring out whether they're struggling with. My customers, for example, hate paperwork and they just want to jump into it and like give them the candidates. So this sounded great to them. Like they can do it all by themselves in 60 minutes. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So just to tell our audience, if you have something like, oh, we can help you solve a problem very quickly. Well, what is that? What is the data behind that very quickly? Figure it out. Again, you have to be specific and it has to come from some kind of science and empirical evidence. You cannot just throw the number, be ready to back it up. But in this case, Recrooit can back it up that they have cases where they can actually start hiring in 60 minutes. So data numbers is very important and they have to be valid, right? You cannot just come up with them. The other one is I'm actually talking to another company in Serbia right now. Great product, but the plans, the pricing plans were all over the place. I think we had a little bit of a complexity in your pricing plans before Nev, and it was a little bit confusing, right? We were going back and forth, but I just want to give you kudos that you really cleaned that up. So I wanted to talk for you to maybe tell quickly about your journey from, you know, having a little bit more complex pricing plan to have a more elegant solution in the pricing now.
Yeah. Okay. So well, that's probably an exclusive info from this event today. We've started working on our pricing way earlier before we started this event. At least we started exploring the idea of changing the pricing structure. And then someone also commented during the last event that the pricing is wrong. I agree.
Yes.
I couldn't say that at the time. But yeah, today we're going to present you the new pricing structure. I do agree. What I really appreciated talking to you was actually the ideas of how I'm gonna name the features. I wasn't thinking about that, and at some point everything was recruit this, recruit that, and it was really funny. So I really appreciate that feedback. And at the same time, some of the actually you gave me some really good security advice. So yeah, that was really useful.
That's awesome. And that's the next slide. But right now, I just wanted to, for people, we got actually a question from Maria. Do you have a suggestion for credible sources for up-to-date metrics? Okay, so that's a previous slide. Maria, great question, right? It's not going to be just sitting there, but I think it's a combination of, you know, doing a research, maybe going to some of the other experts. It's not going to sit there. So you're going to have to put a little bit of time and effort. But I think it's a great point that Maria is making. When you're putting data, if somebody's challenging you about the data, hey, where did you find that? You need to be able either on your on your slide decks to source where did you find that, or to back it up, where did you find it? Ideally, you want to list your source, right? That's a standard business practice. But Maria, you know, it just depends on the industry of vectors. So you're going to have to research. And when you find the number that you're like, okay, this is a great number I can use, make sure that you understand where is it coming from and if it's a reliable source. At that point, you're becoming almost like a journalist, and a valid and professional journalists have to be able to back up the data. So great question by Maria. The next slide would be what you just touched on, Nev, about features versus benefits. And if our audience is listening, if there is one thing that you can take away and, you know, from this presentation is look at your value proposition, whether you're presenting your 30-second elevator pitch, whether you have a slide deck, whether you're going back to your previous conversation with the client. Think about the time you were talking about the feature versus the actual outcome and the benefit. I challenge myself daily, and I find myself, man, I really talk about the feature there, which is okay, but I didn't really translate. What does that mean to my customer? What does that mean to our customer? What is really the benefit, right? And I'll give an example, a high level here, just for the Recrooit. Sure, they could have said, yeah, we help you hire employees, you know, quickly. Okay, I mean, I guess it's interesting enough when you're in the market for employees, but it really doesn't translate to the actual benefit at the outcome, right? They have a very specific community that's tapping into that talent that's not on any kind of bulletin board. So that feature is actually being translated into actual benefit and outcome. Recrooit can give access to the top talent that is off the market. That's a much more compelling value proposition and the benefit and the outcome for the customer, rather than just saying the feature, well, we can help you hire new employees. So let me pause there, see if Nev actually wants to add to that exercise, really thinking like, am I talking about the feature here, or am I talking about the benefit?
Yeah. Pricing structure still has features though.
Right.
It's kind of different, but the copy was changed to talk more about the outcomes as well as the deck, the sales deck we're going to show a bit later.
Absolutely. And that's where we're going to go really dig into those. And yes, I mean, when you're talking about the pricing structure, it has to be clean. You have to use simple wording, right? But I would say the benefits and the features, you have to talk about those when you get in front of the customer. They will ask you, okay, I see this is a nice feature. What does that mean to me, right? Always be able to answer that question. What would that mean to my client? And start talking about that, because you're going to stand up from the other companies. I can tell you, even in US, I catch myself, man, I really talked about a feature here. I should have really talked about what does that mean to my customers. So challenge yourself, challenge your sales teams, and you're going to see much better results. Okay, so we're going to transition slowly into the role play. Again, let's recap what we were doing here. We had the first event. We saw the demo slide deck. I thought it was advanced. I thought Recrooit did a really good job to start with. And we went over some ideas, collaborating with our audience. We want to thank the audience for helping us with some of the information previously. So the idea was to improve. And now we are transitioning into what we're going to call a role play. And before Nevin starts, we got to set the stage. So I'm going to say two things. Again, whether you're a big, super successful company, whether you're a seasoned sales professional, you've been in sales for 20 years and you had an amazing year, you broke all the records, whether you're a startup, you have to do these things. And I know they sound silly. I mean, this was a cultural shock for me. Like when I came to the States, I started working for a big company and I saw people that are incredibly successful. They would do these role plays. It's almost like a theater in a conference room, but you have to do it. And the best way to understand it, don't wait till you have your big chance to onboard a big client to practice then. This is really a practice. Practice internally, right? If you're a CEO and the founder of a company, you should set that culture like, hey, we need to do these role plays. And especially if your client is English-speaking client or in US, you have to do it in English. So today, with some improvements, what Nevin is going to do, she's going to be pitching and selling and role-playing with me. I'm going to be actually Alex, the CEO and the co-founder of Precog Security, cybersecurity company. We are always in the need for new talent. We are always in the need for engineers. Overall, cybersecurity actually, Nev, is a great vertical if you want to look at the niche, because we need about 2 million cybersecurity engineers and professionals. We just don't have enough. So without further ado, we're going to transition into the role play. Nevin is selling me, and I'm going to behave like a potential customer for Recrooit. So having said that, let's get into it.
Hi, Alex. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I wish I could be doing better, Nevin. I'm in Florida, the Sunshine State, but it's a terrible rain and I cannot go anywhere. So I guess I'm going to have to work and learn more about Recrooit today.
All right. So let's get into hiring, I guess. So what I've learned about Precog is, and I'm guessing that you're currently looking for security professionals. How's it going?
It's yes, you're totally right. We're always looking for professional, very, very targeted engineers, very specific skill set, and it's going okay, right? We went through some trials and errors. Some people that we hired turned out to be, doing a good job for us, but some, we were not happy with the skill set. So it's we could do better. We could be more targeted, and we don't like the churn rate that we are seeing currently.
Got it. I've been in the recruitment industry for 10 years now, and honestly, security roles are really hard to fill because most of them don't even have social media, and it's really hard to find them and source them. Yeah. So this is exactly why I'm building Recrooit. Actually, there are talent out there that it's really not easy to find, and the only way to get to them is through some people that actually know them. Even with the current market where people are actually changing jobs, what we've seen with our clients is that they're actually struggling to, even if they're source talent, to get their hands on them because it takes around 3 weeks for them to find a new job. So talking about all of this, we were like, so why don't we build a network where people can actually refer others for jobs? And this is why we built Recrooit, where we currently have more than 5,000 industry professionals referring others for jobs. So, excellent. Yeah.
So these 5,000 professionals, they're not residing anywhere. Like I couldn't do a LinkedIn campaign and find them. And I like how you call it the mass harassment, right? But so you're telling me I cannot find these 5,000 professionals that easily.
Actually, you might be able to find some of them, obviously, because some of them do have social media and so on, but they actually have their own networks that they can refer to you. And this is the idea behind building the community around Recrooit. Does that answer your question?
Excellent. Yes. Yes. So that's
right.
very unique. Okay, cool.
Another important point on this subject is that actually what we're trying to do with building the community in Recrooit is have vetted professionals joining us, which is really important because that will impact the quality of the candidates we'll also present to you. So this is why our community is slowly growing, but to the point. Okay, so we built actually a completely new talent acquisition channel. That was the idea, where we want to unlock talent that it's not easy to get. We want to lower hiring costs and effectively boost your employer branding. Because to be honest, I've been working with a lot of founders that don't have this, they don't have, and I'd love to hear your opinion on this actually, don't have their mindset to building their employer branding early. Which also slows them down long term. And the idea behind Recrooit is that with this network effect we have, people actually hear about your company. So
I think you're spot on. You know, I mean, we're fast growing startup, and you know how it's we start. And you know, I would probably challenge a lot of even larger companies that I love how you call it employer branding. I'm actually taking a note. What I'm gathering from that is not just about, and this is what we were doing, like just hiring here, you know, a little bit here, a little bit there, but there actually has to be a strategy and actual employer branding when we are hiring. So we can definitely, I really like that. I like these points, you know, I mean, we do have to access that talent. You know, cost is always a big thing. Acquiring, like to backfill positions, it's very expensive. But I really like that while we are doing that, we should not lose the sight that we actually, you know, promoting the employer branding while we are hiring too. So that's a good point. And I think you're going to find a lot of startup founders, you know, needing this kind of service. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So and it's actually quite simple. So it takes around 60 minutes to get started on Recrooit. All you need to do is put in the job description, set the bounty you're willing to pay if you make a hire on Recrooit, and then share the vacancy with your network. Obviously, our community will start referring candidates to you as well. But at the same time, you want to amplify that message by sharing it with your network as well. Later on, once you do get candidates, you're going to be able to manage the whole hiring campaign through our dashboard, and also communicate both with the Recrooit community and the candidates that have been referred to you. Do you have any questions so far?
I mean, it makes sense, but I mean, I don't know if you're going to show me some kind of actual live demo environment later, but I would like to see how does it really work in real life? I mean, sounds good on paper, but you know how it is. Like a lot of people have pretty slides, but the proof is in the pudding, as we would say. Would love to see if you can show me anything like that, but yeah, keep going. I would love to see the actual setup of the bounty. How would that work?
All right. Yeah, sure. With the referral bounty, as you've mentioned, that also is an important point. The idea is that you have full control over hiring costs, meaning that you get to set the bounty you're willing to pay out if and when you make a hire on Recrooit. So this was an important point for us to help founders actually manage their hiring costs. And we're at the pricing structure. Okay. So the pricing on the lowest level depends on the number of job slots you need. So how many positions are you actively hiring for, actually?
Well, you know, probably it's going to be closer to 3. I was going to say 2, but you know, I mean, as we are growing, what would you say the biggest difference is between the one at no cost and the one in the middle?
The biggest difference is that we help you with pre-selection on paid plans. Now we have the freemium plan where you can post job and expect referrals to come in, but you're going to have to do the manual work and actually select the candidates yourself. With the paid, the first paid, the plus package package, you can actually post 3 job slots, and at the same time, we're going to help you with the pre-selection. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, and I hate manual work. If I can automate. So you're telling me the biggest thing is obviously more job slots and automation with the paying plans, right? So
exactly.
If you want a no paying plan, it's possible, but expect to do a little manual labor there. So yeah, I mean, okay, it makes sense. It's a good. And what would you say the biggest value is for the highest paying plan?
I'd say that obviously with the companies that have high volume hiring demands, the highest plan is probably their go-to plan, because both with the apart from the 7 job slots, they can also have five admin seats, which means that the whole hiring team can be on board on Recrooit and manage candidates at the same time. Yeah.
And just so I know for the future reference, do you have any custom plans, or these are the plans? What if there's something that maybe it's not listed here?
We actually do. We have custom plans, and if you need our enterprise level support, it means of like you need our hands on deck with you, helping you hire. We also take you through custom onboarding experience. We can also customize some of the parts of the software to your needs, or you need a custom number of jobs or so on. This is where we build custom plans for you.
Okay. All right. Well, this looks good. Yeah, go ahead.
So how about I show you the demo now?
Yeah, I would like to see, like I said, proof is in the pudding. I mean, sounds okay right now, but I would love to see, I mean, how hard is to navigate through your environment? How do I post it? Like all those little things would be good to show as much as you can show me now in the next few minutes. Obviously, I don't have a lot of time. Time is precious, but whatever you can show me in the next 5-10 minutes would be great.
All right, so we're going to skip the sign up process because it's really easy. You can just use your Google account to create an account on Recrooit. And from there, you're going to see this main dashboard. This is the account I use, and you can actually see some of the positions I've published. And I'm going to show you how to publish a new position. So we're going to use create new job. Let's say we're hiring a software engineer. And I'm going to rush a bit through this so we save time, right? What we're doing here is effectively is just putting in as we would normally with a job board. The only difference we have is that we need to specify the selection process and what it looks like. So both recruiters and our Recrooit community and the candidates know what to expect when signing up for Recrooit. Let's say we are not going to share salaries and we're not sharing equity. And once we check everything once again, our job description looks good, we can go up to the next step where we set the bounty. So what would you say you'd be comfortable for this position?
So again, with the bounty, it's something that would come out of our pocket, right? Because we are paying the community to find that.
Exactly, but at this point, you're not going to have any charges. Actually, yeah. So you're paying the bounty only once, and if you make a hire on Recrooit, and that hire comes through a referral, obviously. So now we're just choosing what is the amount we're comfortable with spending on the referral.
Got it. And what is something, let's say that your customers, obviously you don't have to name them, but in general, where do you see that breaking point where you would say, you know what, this is typically what they set, or you wouldn't go underneath that, or if you're super aggressive, you can go here. But what is kind of like a baseline standard? Is it 2,000 or?
Yes, but I'd also say that it depends on the region and on the seniority of the position and obviously the tech stack you're hiring for, because these are all the variables that that are going to impact the bounty. If we're hiring security engineers, I'd probably go up higher than 2,000, but 2,000 is a good start. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's see what happens with the 2000. And can we specify the region? Like you said, we can specify the region, US or maybe Florida or anything like that. Germany, right? So you could really, okay.
We can specify the region here.
Excellent.
Let's say United. There we go. Excellent. And we could say Florida.
Okay.
Right.
Now, Florida is not known for a lot of engineers. Even things are getting better. If you were to put, real estate or bartenders, there's a lot of them. But we are getting better. We're getting more engineers. So even, if you wouldn't find engineers, we're okay with, pretty much some of the positions remotely can be done, right? So we don't really need somebody to be in the office all the time for some of these positions.
Exactly.
So, excellent.
So you can also check the mark that you're hiring remotely, and you're going to get candidates all over the world, pretty much.
Excellent. Can I ask you, so let's say once it's set and once it's published, what happens in the background? How much you can share? Like what's the inner working? We set the bounty, and what happens then?
All right. So let's do that. So we're going to publish. Right now, not much is happening. We are only distributing the job to all the dashboards in the community. So they're going to be able to see the job in this week's newsletter. They're going to get a notification that a new job is up. They're also getting notifications on Discord and Slack, depending on where they spend their time. Once they see the job post, they have their own referral links they can share across their social media. So people actually start posting your job everywhere. And that's what happens.
So they become a little bit of a salespeople, right? Because they want to get their bounty that was set by us. Okay,
exactly.
That's interesting. Let me know also, maybe a little tougher question for you, but what do you feel like it can go wrong? What is something that us as a company, when we're setting up a bounty, we got to pay attention to this or that in order to maximize the results? Obviously, we talked about pricing. Is there anything else that you're like, hey, we've seen some cases, if you don't do this, if you don't follow up or whatnot, what are some of the things that you can advise a customer like us, potential customer like us, to do in order to maximize and optimize the platform?
Recrooit is a great tool, as we talked about, for employer branding as well. So what I pledge companies to do is actually share the job posts. They can also use their internal tools, such as, I don't know, their newsletters and other marketing channels they're usually using for maybe, I don't know, user acquisition or sales acquisition, whatever it is, and distribute that across their network. Is going to help them build a completely new talent pool. And at the same time, they're going to amplify their message that they're hiring. So this is a very simple link you can pretty much share anywhere. And it's going to help you both source candidates and build this community of advocates for your job openings. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And maybe just one more question. So I think you mentioned it, but again, the risk for me is we get it going, but if we don't find the candidates, we're just paying that monthly payment, but the bounty itself is only paid when somebody is found, right? When somebody is matched.
Exactly. So this is what a list of candidates looks like. We also defer candidates that have applied and those that have been deferred. That means that if you hire a candidate that applied themselves, you're not going to be charged the bounty, obviously. So you're only going to be charged the bounty if and when you mark this candidate, for example, as hired.
So who controls, sorry to interrupt, but who controls this flagging this applied or referred? Is this something that you're expecting me as a company to position it as such, or to market it as such, or you guys do that internally?
That's the software. So if a candidate, if the candidate applied through your link themselves, it's gonna say applied, and if they've been referred through the community, it's gonna say referred. And then you can take them further through the process by marking, which I also pledge companies to do, is mark them as in process. This will send out a notification to both recruiters and the candidate themselves that they're in process now. And at the same time, we can also use bulk rejections, or we can manually reject the candidate by sending them a rejection letter.
Okay. And then once the candidate is recruited, is there like a timestamp, or we have to pay the bounty pretty much right away as soon as they're employed? Is it like, do we have to, I mean, what if this person, comes to an interview, maybe even gets a job, but then literally leaves the next day? I mean, we still have to pay the bounty, right?
It depends, but like, I don't. I didn't expect the question. So in terms of our our terms and conditions say that you need to pay the bounty if and when you make a hire within the 30 days. So what happens? So we do trust our clients, obviously, that you're going to mark the candidate as hired. But if you don't, we're probably going to do it for you. So if it happens that within the 30 days you didn't mark the candidate, you didn't resolve their status, recruiters are going to get alerted and they're going to ask for status update. And that's when where we jump in to help out sort out the situation.
It seems like a community honor system from us as a company to the person that's recruited to the community. Okay, it's fair enough. I can just tell you that there's a lot of U.S. companies that have referral fees, and they're actually pretty big, but they're typically structured where you get a referral fee if the person stays on the job at least 3 months. Sometimes I've seen it like 6 months. They're not going to pay a referral fee if somebody just gets hired and then they leave in a month. Like, no, I'm sorry, you're not going to get a referral fee. You're going to get a referral fee for like a steady employee, and just something maybe to think about, because that could be a question, not just from me, but from the other companies. Okay, that sounds good. And how does one go? Like, if you would decide to go, what is the process to get things going?
All right. So what I would suggest to you, since we've talked about hiring for 3 vacancies, right? I would go with the plus plan. And maybe post each of them immediately, so we can send out the bulk campaign once you sign up. It's really easy. You can go through. You can do it yourself pretty much. But if you need, obviously, you're gonna have our onboarding and our support during the process. Mm-hmm. So if you'd like, we can set up another call so we can help you onboard to the platform next week.
Okay. And then if you sign up for that, are we locked into a 12-month contract, or is this month to month? What if you decide after 2 months that we don't want to use it?
You can cancel anytime. We have both monthly and yearly subscriptions. Yearly subscriptions comes with 17% off. So if you decide to go with that, there is some percent of discount to it. But as I said, you can cancel any time from the main dashboard, pretty much.
Okay. And one thing I think you mentioned at the beginning, but where are you guys based out of?
We're based in the U.S.
Okay, great. Well, sounds good. Let me talk to my team, and then we'll touch base. And it seems that 249, the middle plan plus plan, is something that would fit our needs. And we can always scale up or maybe even scale down.
Exactly. You can upgrade or downgrade anytime you're comfortable. So if you slow down your hiring, you can downgrade to free plan and still have that 1 job slot available to you. Or in case, and hopefully you get to be hiring more, you can upgrade as well to business and post more jobs.
Excellent. Well, let's sign up. Let's find those employees right now.
Let's sign up.
All right. Okay. Well, we are getting out of the role play. We are getting back into our presentation mode. So first of all, we are welcoming all the questions. I'm pretty sure people are eager to ask us questions. But before we even get to the first question, Nev, how did you like the role play? It's a little bit nerve-wracking, but how did you like it, first of all?
No, I loved it. I did it before, but it's always funny to me to do it this way. Yeah.
So just for our audience, I want to tell, like, this is a US slang. It's called a curveball. That comes from the baseball. Like when you hit somebody with a very unexpected question. Yes, we practiced a little bit, but I also wanted to give Nev some questions that she did not even know I was going to ask, because this is what's going to happen in real life. Everything is going smoothly, and then question comes out, you're not ready, right? And guys, when you get that kind of question, you can do three ways, right? You can just kind of BS your way around it without being truthful. That's probably not a good scenario, right? What you can do is take a little time. It's okay to pause. And you can say, you know what, that's a really good question. Let me think about it. That buys your respect because you're genuine, right? And you can always say, this is a very American way. And I've seen it happen with executives, with top engineers. You can always say, you know what, Alex, that's a great question. Let me circle back with you, and I'll come back with you after this demo with some correct. I want to be very precise with the answer. That's a very okay, precise, okay thing to do. Obviously, you don't want to do 10 or 15 of those. Like, come on, you should know something. But if one or two of those come up during the presentation, no problem. Just say, hey, I'll circle back with some, let me talk to my engineers, so let me talk to my marketing team, and we'll come up with some exact data. And this gives you a great chance to follow up on a demo, right? Hey, here's that information that you requested that we didn't have during the demo. The worst thing you can do is just make up some answers that you're not even sure they're true. So having said that, we'll go into the first question here that was asked by Eva. What should I do if during a demo something goes wrong from technical side and the product doesn't work as expected? Great question. I actually had a similar thing happen to me recently. And, you know, you just want to apologize. And potentially, if it's a demo environment that everybody came to see and you just cannot bring it up, what you can do is potentially say, look, we just can't, we have a technique. It's obviously not going to be a great scenario, but you want to save the day. And you can apologize for the technical difficulty and maybe just bring the slide deck and talk about the general features since you already have people in the room, and then schedule for the demo environment later on. When your engineering team is working to bring it up and you need to buy 2 or 3 minutes, don't let the awkward silence fill the room. Say, hey, while our engineering team is bringing up the demo and fixing that, start talking. Start talking literally. If you got nothing to talk about the weather. But you should maybe not talk about the weather. You should talk, like, while they're bringing this thing up, let us ask you some questions about, let's say, for example, Recrooit couldn't bring the demo environment. And, you know, Nev is getting some messages from their engineering team. Hey, we need a few minutes before we bring it up. Instead of silence, instead of talking about the weather, maybe Nev can go, hey, Alex, let's go back to a little bit of that while they're bringing this demo up. You know, we have a little bit of technical difficulties. I apologize, always apologize. I would like to hear a little bit more. Why do you think the cybersecurity or you personally are struggling finding a security engineers, right? Make it conversational, right? These things happen all the time, especially if you're talking to a seasoned professional. They've seen demos, you know, being troubled up, being put up. It's not an ideal situation, but make it conversational. So great question, Eva. If you know that demo is not going to be up, still talk about the general value prop and say, like, look, it's going to be a shorter day. We have technical difficulties, but we still want to tell you a little bit what we do. And most importantly, we want to hear about your problems and friction, how we can solve it. We'll do the demo next time. Or if you have to buy a few minutes, start talking about your value prop. Great question. Okay, so we still invite people for more questions. We got 10 minutes. We might finish a little bit shorter to an hour, but if people have questions, we would love to hear it. And we do have a call to action for our audience. And this can translate to me, to Nev, to anyone on this call. Number one is practice and role play your sales demos, right? If you're a founder, if you are a leader of your organization, if you're a salesperson, you should definitely take this mental note. Do not be nonchalant. Like, oh, I know this, you know, it's easy. Practice makes it perfect. That's what we say in US. And then once you're sure of your demo role play, start scheduling those intro calls with customers. Maybe if you're still unsure of it, don't schedule that first demo with your top client, with some kind of Fortune 500 client. Maybe practice it with the smaller client where the impact and the risk can be maybe a little bit smaller. Do some of these pilots internally. Start with some strategic, maybe smaller accounts, maybe some partners where it's a little bit more a friendly environment, and then work your way up where you're going to be able to do it with the Fortune 500 client and the enterprise client. And then do those demos and make sure that you do have that demo environment in close, right? Why are we doing this? We're doing this so you can get that revenue from the most competitive market in the world, which is United States. We are still open for questions. We are not done. We're still going to be here for another couple of minutes, but I definitely want to make sure to, again, thank the Startit team, USAID, Digital Initiative Serbia, but again, big thank you to my collaborator and definitely a great business partner at this event, Nevena Sofranić. We call her Nev. Please take a note of her and my contact information. Nevena, you're active on Twitter. I just wanted to give you kudos for that. I would encourage people in Serbia to open their Twitter accounts. I know some people are rolling their eyes. They think, oh, that's just for memes and for jokes. I cannot stress how important Twitter is for the technical world. You might be shocked how you can get access to some of the potential clients, great source of information, SaaS masters, VCs. Everybody's looking for, not everybody, but some people are looking for investors. Twitter is very active in US, not just for the memes, but for the technical people, for business people. So please, take a note from Nev's book and open a Twitter account. And I'm also sharing my information. I'm also active on Twitter. You can find me, Alex Paunić, on Twitter. And you can also find me on Instagram. So having said that, I'm going to do two things. Nev, let's make sure that we hear from you, maybe some last words from our audience, and then we're going to see if there's any questions too before we finally officially close this event.
I don't have much to say. I've been talking a lot, actually. Maybe that's one note, don't talk that much on the demo. At the same time, yeah, I hope someone finds this useful as usually, yeah.
I also think you did a really good job. There's, I think, one big thing that we can leave for our audience. There's always room for improvement, right? We're going to process this. We're going to process this, and we're going to be ready for the next one. There's always little tweaks, little changes that we can do. And I want to announce for the next event, we will have an American. We're going to work on some of my contacts to put them in front of Recrooit. What's going to happen in the background, obviously, me and Nev are going to exchange some information with these contacts, get them ready. We obviously want to let them know they're going to be recorded. But what we want to do is bring you a live demo with an American buyer. And I think it's going to be a great event. We're shooting for the Q3, which is probably going to be September. There's a big holiday in US at the beginning of September. It's called Labor Day. It's kind of like a Praznik Rada or Labor Day in Serbia, May 1st. And then we potentially gonna do this demo in September. Without further ado, if there's no other questions, we will still love to hear back from you. This is going to be posted on YouTube video. Please comment. Please send your comment and feedback. What we can do better. We always want to improve send it to the Startit team. And if there are no other questions, again, we're going to thank our Startit partners and. At this point, we want to wish you a great Tuesday evening, and we're going to see you soon. Thank you for your time again. Hvala.
Hvala.